Hello friends! Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be reading Spookley the Square Pumpkin. It's one of my favorite books for fall time. Spookley the Square Pumpkin. And then after I'm done reading it, I'm going to make a craft. We're going to make Spookley. So stick around and we'll make Spookley. So right now, let's get into the book. The Legend of Spookley the Square Pumpkin. One day in the pumpkin patch, the strangest little pumpkin hatched. Spookley wasn't like his friends, where they had curves. He had ends. Spookley was different. He was odd. He was rare. Spookley the pumpkin wasn't round. He was square. While the round pumpkins had fun rolling along, poor Spookley sat there, shaped all wrong. He tried and tried with all of his might, but he couldn't budge, so he just sat tight. The other pumpkins teased him because he was square. Spookley wished he was round and that he could roll everywhere. That is, until one night when they all discovered it's fine to be round when the weather is fair, but there are times it's actually better to be square. Halloween was just a day away when a mighty storm blew across the bay. It tossed the pumpkins to and fro, it snapped their vines, and then off they'd go. Bouncing left, slamming right, banging, bashing. Oh, what a sight! Spookley sat there filled with fright, but glad to be square that night. Suddenly the fence gave away. 3 pumpkins rolled out and into the bay. Spookley knew what must be done. It was up to him. He was the one. He teetered and he tottered. He tipped and he tried. And finally he flipped, and he was on his side. Again he tipped, and again he flopped. Again he flipped, and then he stopped. Right there in the gap where the fence had snapped, he blocked the way, and the hole was capped. All the pumpkins shouted hooray! Spookley the Square Pumpkin had saved the day. Then a pumpkin hit him with a whack. He thought his shell would start to crack. And then another one hit him with a thump, and another one with a smack. Uh-oh. Then one by one, a ton of pumpkins piled on the stack, and a bang and a bash, and a crunch and a crash. And then it all went black. Let's see what happens. At dawn, when the storm had stopped, the farmer came out and checked his crop. He picked his pumpkins up one by one and laid them out in the warm, dry sun. And when the last one was moved away, the farmer could see what had saved the day. An odd-shaped pumpkin, short and dense, was wedged against that broken fence. Its shell was bruised, and its stem was too. But there was brave little Spookley sitting straight, strong, and true. Right then and there the farmer knew of all the seeds he'd ever sown, Spookley's were the most special that had ever grown. And the next year, When it was time to sow, he sowed those seeds in every row. He watered and weeded and he watched them grow. And oh, that morning about mid-June, when the pumpkin patch began to bloom, there were tiny pumpkins everywhere, hundreds and hundreds, and most of them were square. But some were cubes and some were rectangular. Some were flat and others triangular. There was a bed of bright red ones and 2 rows of blue. There were polka dot pumpkins and rainbow ones too. There were thousands of colors and hundreds of shapes. Oh, what a garden variety makes. Now every year on Halloween, Spookley's patch is quite a scene. People come from far and near to see what wonders grew that year. They stop, they gawk, they gaze and they stare. Then they pick a pumpkin that's round, triangular, or perfectly square. Now you know the story of how Spookley grew. And maybe someday, if you tell someone too, they'll go tell someone who'll go tell another. And maybe one day we will all discover that you can't judge a book or a pumpkin by its cover. The end. That was such a good book. I love the story of Spookley the Square Pumpkin. So now I have a cool little craft that we're going to make. And if you have all of the materials, you can make one too. It's very easy to do. So you'll need scissors. We'll need a pencil or a pen. It doesn't really matter. Need a black crayon or a black marker and some glue. Those are the things that you need. And then you'll need some paper. I have a little piece of brown paper with a triangle, but you can make any shape you want. This is going to be for Spookley's stem. Then I have some green, a green paper, an orange paper, and a white paper. I'm going to use the white paper as my background. That's what I'm going to put Spookley on. Okay. I'm going to take, we don't need to use the whole piece of our orange paper. So I'm going to fold it. And I'm going to cut it in half. So we don't need all of the orange. Okay. So what I'm going to do with the orange paper is I'm going to turn it sideways like this. And I'm just going to tear it into strips. It doesn't matter what size. They could be a little skinnier. They can be bigger, thicker. But we want to tear them into strips. Just like that till we get them all the way down our paper. Then I'm going to set those aside. And with our green paper, I'm going to trace my hand 2 times. So that's what I'm going to use my pencil for. there's one hand. Now I'm going to do this hand. Okay. Now I'm going to cut those handprints out with my scissors. Make it a little easier. I'm going to like that. You can do these with your kids, and they make a good Halloween craft and activity. Or you can make one yourself. It's just really fun to do, especially if you like crafts. And it just goes really good with the story because it's fun to read a story and then also make something. And this one is just a really easy way to make him, because you don't need a whole lot of materials. And if you do these with your kids, it's another way to have their handprints, which is also really nice. Because as parents, I know we love to, well, I know I do. I love to keep everything my son makes, especially stuff that has his handprints on it. Okay. And I might just use some of this leftover green paper, and I might just cut a little, oval or something for a leaf, maybe. That's what so if you have some extra of a leaf. Okay. Next, we're going to start putting Spookley together. So, how we're going to do that is I have my glue and I have my strips of orange paper, and I'm going to put those on first. So, I'm going to just kind of assemble it. I'm going to put some glue. I like this purple glue because you can see it really well. And I'm going to put it down so I have enough room at the top to put his stem. I'm just going to put it into a square and piece it together. And, kids, it's fun for kids to rip the paper, and you might be saying, well, won't that make a mess? And it might, but it's really important for kids to get the fine motor skills, and tearing paper is actually giving them fine motor skills, which help their finger muscles which will help them write and hold their pencil and just gain those muscles in their fingers that they need for when they're writing words and sentences and all that. So it's really important. So tearing paper is actually a good skill for them to use. Okay, so I used most of my paper. I didn't use all of it. Now, if you want to, you could go in and fill that. I kind of like it how it's got some of the white. But if you don't like that, you can always cover it, you know, where there's no white in between. But that's what I love about art, is it's your craft and you can make it however you want, and everybody's is going to be different in some way, and that's what I love about crafts. Okay, so I'm going to use my handprints, and they're going to be his leaves on the side, the part of the vine. So now if you do this with kids, their handprints aren't going to be as big as mine. So it will probably fit on the paper better, but you know, we work with what we got. That's that one. Oops, I'm getting glue everywhere. What I mean, crafting's not about making it perfect. It's about the fun that you're having. And sometimes you do get a little messy. And that's okay. Okay. I set the glue over here. Now I'm going to cut my stem out. I made a triangle. Of course, you can make it a rectangle, a square, a circle. I mean, anything. This is your art project. You make it however you want. I'm going to do mine as a triangle. I put it on the top right there. And I used some of my leftover green paper to make a little leaf, because sometimes we see leaves at the top of the pumpkins. There we go. Now, we always want to make sure our lids snap on our glue so they don't dry out. Now, I brought this black crayon because I'm just going to draw his face on. Some people, you could get googly eyes, you could get sparkles, you could do glitter, all kinds of things. I'm just going to keep mine simple with a black crayon, and I'm going to draw his eyes, a nose, and a mouth. So, oops. Two circles. I'm going to do another triangle for the nose. I'm going to kind of do like some zigzags for the mouth. And there we have it. We made Spookley the Square Pumpkin. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a lot of fun making this craft, and I hope you really enjoyed the story of Spookley. This is just a fun activity that is so easy to make, and I hope you have a lot of fun doing it. It's a good, like I said, a good fine motor skill. We're using all kinds of skills to trace our hands, ripping the paper, drawing, and of course, it's an amazing story too about how Spookley saved the day. So, If you liked this, please comment, please like, please subscribe. And if you would love to see videos like this again, please let me know. Until next time, goodbye.